All right. Thank you so much, everyone, again, and to the organizers of the event who've put in all this hard work. And a real pleasure to be here speaking to you today. And I will be speaking about, digital identity verification and regulation for fintechs and how we from Onfido kind of see it evolving. And what I would like to start with today, is a very simple, statement which I believe all of us, know to be true, which is that trust is really the bedrock of banking, right? So before I go further into my presentation, a little bit about myself. My name is Urvashi Gupta. I'm the general manager for APAC at Onfido. We are an 8-year-old company, London headquartered, but we have offices all across the globe. And I'm based out of our Singapore office and serving, our customers across Southeast Asia and Asia Pacific. So, going back to, trust being the bedrock of banking. Now, I think we can all agree that this has, continued to be really important historically for financial services and will continue to be increasingly important. Now, the difference is that previously people used to walk into bank branches for anything that they needed to do, such as applying for a credit card, getting a home loan, applying for a brokerage account to trade stocks, and so on. However, now we're increasingly seeing a trend where people are choosing to perform all of these activities online. And this is for two reasons. One, of course, it's the convenience associated with conducting such transactions online. But secondly, events like the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, have only accelerated these trends because in many parts of the world, it's actually been impossible to walk into a bank branch for the last months. So all of this has really emphasized the need for financial institutions and service providers to come up with an end-to-end digital banking model. We kind of see three key challenges facing, financial institutions that are trying to adapt to this new normal that we're in. Number one being online is the new normal. So your customers are expecting services to be provided to them digitally. And the battleground has really shifted from in-branch to digital experience that competes with the like of, the Apples and Googles and Ubers. That's the kind of user experience that more and more users are coming to expect. Secondly, KYC matters more than ever. We no longer see our customers and hence need to effectively ensure, the compliance needs are rigorous and that risk is being managed in this new normal that we're living in. And lastly, and I think, a lot of people in the financial services industry will identify with this, where, manual costs are continuing to be a risk as the future is uncertain and businesses are being, forced to become more and more lean with time and still provide a high quality of product and services. Underpinning all of this is the main point here, which is how do you establish trust in the digital virtual world? Because that is key to being able to serve your customers in a safe and secure manner. So, the challenge is people do not trust digital transactions as much as they do in-person transactions. And who can blame them? There has been a huge rise in scam ads, phishing attacks, social engineering, which have led to growing concerns about fraud. And intuitively, of course, we all do feel much more secure when we're banking in person than we are online, right? So, how has this been done before? As we're all aware, this was pretty much done in person where someone would walk into the bank branch, but now that's not as possible anymore, or it's not as preferable anymore. So the next step, which was an innovation in the industry a few years ago, was relying on central databases. However, that has also become quite problematic and challenging. As you might be aware, there have been massive data breaches, such as the one that occurred with Equifax a couple of years ago, which released tons of confidential customer data globally, and was available to anyone on the dark web who wanted to buy it. That's one factor that kind of mitigates how effective the solution is. And secondly, checking an ID number against a database no longer offers, it doesn't really provide you with fraud protection, because I could take someone's digital, ID number, key it in, get it verified by a database, and still access services pretending to be them, which is commonly known as identity theft. So, that also is not as secure. And what's really required is to be checking for fraud when onboarding users. So our view is that, of course, it's time to move away from both the in-person and the centralized bureau model and more to a digital identity verification model, which instead of taking a few hours can allow you to onboard users in as little as 30 seconds. I'll show you how this can be done. So at Onfido, how do we do it? It's a very simple two-step process, which involves something you own, which is your secure government ID. Now, this could be something like your driver's license, your national ID card, your passport, any government-issued photo identification that's individual to you. And secondly, it's something that you have, which is your face, and that you cannot lose. So how do we do it? First, we check the document for signs of fraud, whether it's fraudulent, if there's physical tampering or digital tampering, and make sure that it's a genuine document. And then we match the photo in the document to the selfie or the video of the person, essentially doing a biometrics match to make sure that I am indeed using my own ID rather than, using my mom's ID or a friend's ID that, I may have, gotten my hands on, or even worse, a fake ID that I've bought off the black market. So that's a two-step process that we use to verify identities. And our financial institution customers use this process to verify identities. And again, it's as simple as using a smartphone to take a picture of your photo ID and then either taking a selfie or a short video of yourself. Now, I understand this is not super clear, so we have actually a video demo to show you, which is about a minute long, that helps you understand exactly how this works. Team, if I could please ask you to play the link that we have shared earlier.
Welcome to Onfido's Sdk Demo. A user can verify their identity in as little as 15 seconds. First, they select an ID type and an issuing country. Then they take a photo of the front of their ID, and then the back, so we can verify that the ID is genuine and hasn't been tampered with. Then we compare the ID photo with a selfie or video captured in-app. We calculate how similar the two faces are by analyzing a number of biometric data points. The user submits their verification, and the results are sent to you.
So I hope that was helpful in understanding kind of the flow that an end user that's trying to access a product or a service digitally experiences at the point of either signing up for an account or increasing the limit on their e-wallet. There's a whole range of use cases, which I'm happy to talk offline with any of you about in more detail, but that's essentially the flow that they will experience. And then there will be a couple of reports. One will be a document report verifying whether the document is genuine or fraudulent. And the second will be a facial similarity report verifying that the user is indeed using their own documentation that are sent to the bank or the financial institution. Based on this information, the financial institution can then approve the user or reject the user and ask for more information to be provided before they accept you as a user. All right, sorry, I'm having trouble moving to the next slide, and I'm not sure why. Okay, so while it looks really easy and smooth, what you just experienced on the screen, catching this fraud is not easy. Digital fraud is increasing day by day and getting more and more sophisticated. Fraud is no longer a couple of bad actors trying to gain access to someone else's account. Fraud is actually a 9-to-5 operation. These are proper businesses being run in many parts of the world where hackers are trying to gain access to people's accounts, impersonate other people, and it's really a 9-to-5 job for them where they keep at it day in and day out. Now, a little game for you here. So there's a few faces on the screen. Can you guess which one of these faces is fake? It's pretty difficult, right? This is actually a trick question. All of these faces are generated by AI and they're all actually fake. This should give you an idea of how sophisticated fraud is becoming. And so what's really important for any, fraud detection mechanism is that you check that somebody has a real face and that you're capturing that face live. Otherwise, you run the risk of getting sophisticated algorithms creating faces and trying to basically trick your systems. So as you have seen, our journey involves checking the document and then comparing it with the user's biometrics. Let's look at checking the document first. Now you see 6 IDs here. Which one is fake? Which one do you think is fake? Very hard to tell, of course, because you don't have that ID in your hand. But I can tell you that even very, very sophisticated border control agents are not able to catch the kind of fraud that we see every day on documents like this. I'll give you a few examples. There's quite a few attack vectors that are going on here. Only the first one is the original. All the other IDs have had a small flaw. Basically, what fraudsters will do is they'll find a small, part of the document, whether it's the ID number or the date of birth, and they'll change that, trying to be creative with fonts, and either they'll try and, manipulate it digitally or physically. Right. One example is, changing the ID number, as you see over here. Now, 1 digit 3 in this case has been changed to a 7. It's pretty well doctored, so not many human analysts will be able to tell that this has been changed. However, the way Onfido actually catches this kind of fraud is we are able to zoom into the font on every single part of a document. So we have a document library of over 4,500 documents, and we understand the templates really well. So we know what font is used in which position on which ID. And by zooming in, we're able to pick up anomalies in the font. So as you see in this case, only by zooming in through a machine and evaluating it through an algorithm, we're able to tell that the 3 has actually been replaced here, has been doctored. That's one example. Another example would be, security features. We're checking for holograms, for watermarks, for 3D images that are baked into a document to make sure that they're intact. Image editing is a common one that we see. I'll give you an example of how this could potentially work. So what a fraudster would want to do is if they manage to buy a fake ID off the or a genuine ID off the black market or internet, they will basically use that ID and put in their own picture on the ID, right? And try and get it through our systems. However, our algorithms are trained in catching these kinds of frauds. So here you see on the left-hand side, we've correctly identified that, the original document has an original face in it, and the algorithm is pretty confident of it. And on the right-hand side, it's correctly identified that this looks like a physically swapped face with a high level of confidence. So this is also something that, our machines can flag and return the result to the financial institution. Apart from that, there's pixel tampering as well, and a whole bunch of other things that we, check for. Again, happy to chat in more detail. If anyone has questions, they can, reach out to me after the chat. But keeping it more high level now in terms of the broad kinds of fraud that we're, experiencing on a daily basis and also catching. So that's the document side of things. Now, of course, one more thing before I move on. One more thing that we're checking for is to make sure that the document is actually physically present at the time of capture. Because what happens a lot of times is people try and take a photo of the document, or they might be able to pull up the document in the phone and take a photo of their screen. Now, these, again, in some cases, it could be genuine users who maybe don't have access to their ID card at that point in time, and they're trying to kind of, get through the flow. But a lot of times it is usually fraudsters as well. And so again, we flag that and we make sure that the original document is present at the time of capture, because then the likelihood of fraud is much lower that way. Now, the second step, as you saw in our video, is, we then compare the face and the identity document with the biometric capture. And we're really looking at features of a person that don't change over time, such as, the distance between their chin and their nose, the distance between their eyes, between their chin and their forehead, to make sure that this person is who they're saying they are. We assign a facial similarity score, and that score is also returned in the facial similarity report to the bank or financial institution, who then, either will say, yep, we think with a high degree of confidence they are who they're saying they are, or no, we don't. And then the FI can make their own decision on whether to onboard the person or not. And, with more and more research, we've seen that the more data our machine learning algorithms see, the better they get, of course. And when they're trained well, they become 15 times more capable than a human at basically matching the faces to make sure that, whether there's a match or not. Now, the next step is making sure that the original human is present at the point where they're taking the biometric capture. Now, what you see on top is a genuine selfie here where the person is taking her own picture. And what we have is basically heat mapping techniques that allow the machine to detect. Here you see it's largely green, which means the machine is saying, yep, this person is present at the time of capture. What we again see very commonly is a picture of a picture. Someone can go to my Facebook account pretending to be, someone who wants to pretend to be me, gets hold of my ID, can go to my Facebook account, print out my picture and take a picture of a picture, or they can even just pull up my picture online and try and take a picture of that. These are fraud cases that we see. And again, our algorithms through the, texture mapping are able to tell that that's pixelation and it's not a live capture. The same thing happens for video. If our financial institutions choose the video option, again, on top, you can see here that this is a genuine video. The user is filming herself live. We can detect and track her face, and the machine believes to a high degree of confidence that the attempt is genuine. In the bottom scan, again, it's a playback from a phone, and the machine is able to detect that it's not live. By analyzing the texture, the machine is able to give us an answer. So algorithms like this, layered on with many, many other algorithms, help us return results to a higher degree of accuracy within a few seconds. This is another example of, spoofing techniques that, financial institutions around the world would see, which is, 2D masks, as you can see on the right, or even very sophisticated 3D face masks that you can buy on Amazon for about $50. So what the algorithm is doing here is making sure that they're able to see that it's a 3D head and not any 2D mask that is being used to hack into the system. So that's a little bit about our technology. I hope you found that interesting and, happy to chat. But going back to our core question, which is about, trust being the bedrock of banking, while that's an essential piece, that personalization and trust put together allows financial institutions to, provide that customer centricity that is really required in today's world. And digital transformation does not have to be a scary phase. Sometimes people think that digital transformation sounds endless and it sounds expensive. But what providers like Onfido are able to help financial institutions do is not to rip out and replace your entire system, but to start with very simple, small changes, such as, putting in the IDV flow to capture your users' information digitally while giving them a lot of confidence about the security of the system. And this is working. According to Experian in a recent study, we've seen that 3 out of 4 users in the Asia-Pacific region actually have more trust in their digital banking experience if they experience an element of biometric security while they are onboarding to get access to that product and service. So a little bit about us. The flow that I just described is being used by financial institutions all over the world, including some of the global tier 1 banks. The main aspects that we're really able to help our customers with are user experience as an example. So Barclays was able to really improve its user experience by allowing customers to verify themselves with the bank's app, allowing thousands of customers to really create an account from home. We're now working with HSBC to do something similar, and DBS is another customer that's recently come on board for us to help them with something similar as well. Customer conversion is another key metric that financial institutions care about, meaning how many people who start my journey actually end up becoming customers of mine. So Bank, which is a challenger bank, achieved a 5x uplift in the number of users verified when they switched to digital identity verification technology, which makes the process a lot smoother. And cost reduction is another key factor. Money Match is an example of a remittance firm that saved over $8 per verified user compared to their original system where they were doing everything, all of the checking manually and in-house. So, of course, we want to provide a really, really good customer-centric experience to the FIs that use us. But Onfido also cares a lot about pushing the boundaries and really being one of the flag bearers of digital identity verification globally. We're a founding member of the Better Identity Coalition, which is an organization focused on developing and advancing cross-sector policy solutions that promote the adoption of better solutions for identity verification and authentication. So we're one of the 16 founding members, and we believe the important work that we're doing with the Better Identity Coalition includes setting policy frameworks on solving, key identity issues, talking to regulatory bodies on best practices, and, working with some of the largest companies in the world to develop innovative solutions. Another organization that we're a board member of is the Fido Alliance. Now, this is focused on, establishing authentication standards to reduce the world's over-reliance on passwords, which, as we're all aware, while they have their benefits, they can be quite frustrating and are also vulnerable to hacks and breaches. So we are a board member, and we're helping to establish best practices in this industry. And we also work on challenges related to account recovery, which can be another frustrating experience for users. In addition to this, we regularly participate in regulatory sandboxes globally, and we work with regulators around the world. Most recently, in my region, in the Asia Pacific region, we're working with the Hong Kong Monetary Authority in Hong Kong, as well as Bank Negara Malaysia and BNM, and basically speaking with them and understanding, how they are thinking about electronic KYC and digital identity verification. So we really partner with, all of the key stakeholders in this space to produce the best possible solution that all parties can use. We've been lucky enough to be the recipient of a few awards. One being, we were named as Barclays Bank, Innovative Supplier of the Year last year. So that was really nice. And we consistently, we're a tech-focused company. So our main goal is to really use technology to stay one step ahead of fraud. As fraud evolves, we want to evolve faster to be able to allow our customers to provide safe and secure onboarding experiences. And a little bit about the company. We're a team of over 400 now, with checks available in 195 countries, over 1,500 clients globally, and we've been lucky enough to receive, about $200 million in funding. I think that takes me to the end of my presentation. It's been a real delight to speak to you today. I will be joining the panel later if you have any questions. And, of course, do feel free to reach out via LinkedIn or email if you have any other questions at all. Thank you.
Thank you.